Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today I wanted to go over 9 different berries that are growing in my yard that can grow in the state of Utah. Now they can grow in the Intermountain West, but I'm focusing primarily on northern Utah right now because we have special climate requirements. Now these berries will grow well just about anywhere, but as I said, I wanted to focus on the fact that they can grow well here in Utah. Now it's early spring, it's April. I think this is the 3rd week in April, and I'm losing track of time. It's the old brain kicking in. But anyway, I think it's the 3rd week of April. We've got a storm coming in tomorrow, so it is a little bit windy. I hope the sound is okay. I thought about going by my favorites, but I think what I'm going to do is just start on one end of my yard and go all the way around. So let's start with my Serviceberries first. These are my Serviceberries in full glorious bloom. The Serviceberries that I have back here are called Regent Serviceberries. Now Serviceberries are actually native to the state of Utah, but the Regent is not the native berry. It's just a cultivar somebody created. Now Regent Serviceberries are supposed to get about 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide. Mine have gotten a little bit bigger than that because they are happy. So let me get you a little bit closer to these glorious flowers and show you what they look like. Now you can see the spectacular show that it puts on in the spring, and it puts on equally spectacular a show in fall. I'll throw a picture up of what the leaves look like in the fall after they've changed color. Almost each one of these flowers is going to turn into a berry. They're tasty berries. I really like them. They kind of have an almond aftertaste because of the seeds. You can kind of see last year's berries hanging on there a little bit. They're easy to take care of. They like part shade, especially afternoon shade is better for them. They can grow in the full hot sun, but they do better when they have a little bit of afternoon shade. They're very drought tolerant, and they should only be watered around once a week. I rarely, if ever, prune these, and I've never fertilized them. Now the next berry that I wanted to highlight is right behind me, and that is the gooseberry. Gooseberries need a little bit more shade than the serviceberries. They really appreciate protection from the hot afternoon sun, but they do like the morning sun. Gooseberries also need a little bit more water than the serviceberries, and they like a little more fertilizer. So let me get you closer in and show you the flowers on this red gooseberry. I'm not sure which variety it is. I planted it in 2009 and I promptly forgot the variety, but it is a red gooseberry and it's a little more tart, and then I'll show you a sweeter one. So here's the leaves. The leaves are absolutely gorgeous, and if you look under the leaves, we have the flowers where the fruit forms, and it's really hard to find the fruit sometimes because this is the way they grow. The fruit grows on the underside of the branches and hangs down. It doesn't do it on every branch either. I think it grows on second-year wood. Now I have pruned these back really heavily in the past, and it will not flower or fruit for the next year or two after you do a heavy pruning. So definitely if you're looking for fruit, do not cut them all the way back every year. This is my second gooseberry. This is called an Invictus gooseberry, and I used to have one previously, but I think it got too dry in this area. I kind of let this area go and ignored the gooseberries, and my Invictus died. So this is a brand new Invictus. It's a much larger gooseberry than my red one over here, and it's extremely sweet. These are my favorite spring fruits. I absolutely love them. Now we're moving on to currants. There's so many different varieties of currants, and all of them do well here in the state of Utah. These are another plant that really do need the afternoon shade, so I do have it on the north side of my house. And my house is kind of skewed a little bit to the west, so this does get some beautiful morning sun. As you can see, this is early spring and it is in full bloom. I love the golden currants for their bloom. They smell like cloves. They're absolutely gorgeous. Let's get you a little bit closer on the flowers so you can see what they look like. Look how beautiful those are. Now there's red currants and black currants and all sorts of different kind of currants, but they all need a little bit more moisture than the serviceberries. I guess I can compare everything to the serviceberries. This bush will get about 6 feet tall and wide. Right now, this is its 2nd year and it's about 4 feet tall. But I don't care if it gets much bigger because it's going to be absolutely glorious against the side of the building here. They do need a little bit of fertilizer, but they're really easygoing plants. Not a lot of need for pruning unless you want to control the size a little bit. They're very easy to take care of. Now right next to it, we have its cousin. This is a Jostaberry. I just barely planted this year, and I'm excited to see how well it does. This is a relative of the black currant, and I think it's mixed with gooseberry. Supposedly I've heard they taste really good. Some people don't like them, but we're going to see what we think about them. Now they have the same growing conditions as the regular currants, where they need afternoon shade and a little bit more moisture. Now we're in my front yard with the next berry that we're going to talk about, and this is a chokeberry. Now I use this more as an ornamental than an edible plant, but aronia or chokeberry are extremely healthy for you. Although the taste isn't, I guess, you know, the first taste, when you start chewing on it, the first taste is very sweet and it's quite tasty, but it's extremely astringent. And from what I've heard, drying them, juicing them, making them into jellies does not take the astringency away. So I've tried eating them in the past, and I don't think I'll be eating very many in the future, but they're an absolutely gorgeous plant. Now these are great for Utah because they're extremely drought tolerant. They can take full sun. They can take just about any conditions you throw at them except for really wet conditions. This plant I used to have over on the other side of my property next to the neighbor's lawn, and it got overspray from their sprinklers, and that made it really chlorotic. So here, I think, you know, where it's going to not get as much water, I think it'll do a lot better. Now another thing that I love about these, the fall color is absolutely spectacular. It's the same colors as the Serviceberry, where they're going to turn red, oranges, purples, yellows, and I absolutely love it. Now the buds are just about ready to open, and let me show you what the buds look like. Now this is just a little plant. It was just barely transplanted. It's coming out of dormancy and looking healthy, and that is what the buds look like. It's going to be gorgeous when it starts to fill in. Now the next berry is one that I just barely finished doing a video on. I just planted these, and these are blackberries. Blackberries do particularly well here in Utah. They need full sun. They can take a little tiny bit of shade, but they do better in full sun. They need regular watering, and they need good, rich soil. So let me show you what my blackberries look like. Now these are brand new, just planted today. They're triple crown blackberries, and I'm going to create a trellis system for them. Triple crown blackberries don't grow by runners. As far as I know, we're going to test this out and see. I'm hoping they don't grow by runners. Supposedly they're a clump forming blackberry that will slowly spread out from the center. Now the next berry is another one of my favorites. Right here we're sitting on the edge of my strawberry bed. Strawberries do really, really well here in the state of Utah. I'm going to show you a patch that I have in my front yard in just a minute after we go over the care of strawberries that gets absolutely no care. I have irrigation that is run through that area, and it goes off twice a week, and that's all. They don't get fertilized, they don't get pruned, nothing happens to them. But let me show you the strawberries that I have in this bed first. Now I have two varieties in this bed. One is Fort Laramie, and the other one is a new one. It's the Buried Treasure strawberry that has the red flowers. Now I do watch Laura with Garden Answer, and I've been intrigued with these strawberries ever since she's featured them on her videos. And I just found some in my local nursery, and I was really excited to plant them and see what they are like. Now strawberries, if you're growing them for the fruit, which the ones in the front that I'm going to show you in a minute, I'm not growing as much for the fruit. If you're growing them for the fruit and for production, you need to put them in an area where they get regular water, well-amended soil, and a good deal of fertilizer. They do need to be taken care of to perform properly. But once you take care of them, you're going to get amazing berries, and I absolutely love them. Let's go show you the ones in front. Now right here we have a patch of strawberries that I did not plant. I don't know how they ended up here. Maybe something got loose from that bed that's right on the other side of this fence here. But these have been in this bed for 9 years at least, maybe 10. And as I said, they get watered twice a week. They don't get fertilizer. I just barely threw mulch down for the first time ever for them. And they do produce berries. They're not as sweet as the ones in my strawberry bed, but they are still good. And I let the neighborhood children harvest these whenever they want. So this is just a good ground cover. I really like them. Now from here, we're going to move on to this little plant. This is a 2-year-old little plant, and this is my Borealis honeyberry. Now honeyberries are another one of the plants that it says full sun on the tag, but here in Utah the sun is so strong they actually need some afternoon shade. They need a decent amount of water and they need fertilizer. Let me go show you my Aurora honeyberry that's in bloom right now. This is my Aurora honeyberry and it is in full bloom. Look how beautiful those are. Now I don't know if this one is actually going to give me fruit because none of my other honeyberries are developing buds on them. I think they're too new. This one was planted, I think last year or early last spring. Yeah, this one was planted early last spring and then transplanted a couple of months later, and it seems to be doing okay. This is my blue banana honeyberry, and it was planted last summer, and it's coming out of dormancy beautifully. Now there are a lot of different varieties of honeyberries, and they do need a pollinator, and I'm going to put a picture on the screen of what they look like. They look a little bit like blueberries. From what I've heard though, they're a little bit tart. Kind of tart, some of them are a little bit sweeter. It just depends on the variety you get. But we're going to try them, and hopefully we'll get some fruit this year or next, and I will update you on how they taste. Now we're going to move on to the last berry that we're going to focus on, and that is the raspberries in the background. Raspberries do have a little bit of special requirements. A lot of different areas in the country you can put them in full sun, but in Utah they do need a little bit of shade. And there is one other issue that we have here that I'll go over with you as we look at our raspberries. Now this variety right here is Autumn Britain. I think that's the one that it is. And these have struggled a little bit. I think they need a little bit more water than I've been giving them. I finally updated their irrigation last year, and I'm probably going to need to hand water them a little bit. These are an ever-bearing raspberry, which means they will produce in the spring and they produce in the fall. So I get raspberries most of the year. And right through here, we have our first signs of buds. Now this is on last year's cane, and this is going to be this year's cane right here. These new little ones are going to grow big and tall, and they are going to bloom at the top in the fall. That'll be my fall crop. These bloomed at the top last year, and now they're blooming near the bottom, so this is my spring crop. So the way you prune these is you go through, cut out all the dead canes. Those were the ones that bloomed both at the top and the bottom, and then now they're finished. And then you take the ones that bloomed last fall, and you cut the tops off them down to where you see the first set of leaves. And that's how you're going to get your spring crop. Now if you want to, you can actually go through and mow them all to the ground, and that will just give you the fall crop. Now the issue that I wanted to talk to you about that I always need to watch really carefully for is raspberry cane borer. What happens is I will see, these new canes that are coming up, and I can tell there's a cane borer because the tops will start to curl over and die off a little bit. And if you catch them quick enough, you can snip the top off until you don't see a hole in the cane anymore, and that means that you've got the borer. If you leave them, they bore their way all the way down to the crown and kill the crown. Now, as I said, raspberries like more fertile soil. They like some fertilizer. They need a little bit of shade, and they like more water than some of the other berries. Now, I think we're at the end of this video. I've covered 9 different berries that grow well here in the state of Utah, and I'll probably highlight these again throughout the year as they start to fruit. And I'd love to hear what berries you're growing on your property. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe, share them with your friends, and please go out and enjoy your garden.